Yeah, we did it.
Joe's gonna take over right here in a few as soon as we get everybody in.
Come on in, everybody. Come on
Hey,
in.
say to my son, you want to hold it? No, don't do it. He's 16. Maybe just do a class.
Doesn't have blinky lights. I mean, like nice neon.
No, none of that.
That's fine, that's fine. Do we have everybody?
Right, absolutely.
Okay, well, welcome everybody. I am the 27-year veteran Joe Corbello that Lenny talked about earlier this evening. It is our pleasure to have you here. This data center was the very first project during our stadium renovations. Our renovation started in 2015, but construction on this started in 2014 for a very important reason. With the Marlins no longer here, we no longer needed to have a field as wide as it was. It was an opportunity for us to demolish the seats on the sidelines and bring them 25 feet closer, which they are now, than they originally were when the Marlins were playing here. The problem with that is 40 feet to my right is where our data center was, and that sideline seating was the physical roof, the structural roof over the data center. So that was a no shit moment for the contractor, and it was a $500,000 data center moment for me. So this had to be built before all of that work could get started. So we partnered with ABC, got their hot aisle containment solution. To my immediate left is our UPS units. We have a pair of 80 kVA UPS units. Each one of those units goes to a PDU behind every cabinet, behind every rack that's in the back of the room. So every cabinet and every two-post rack has two PDUs. So we got redundant PDUs going to the redundant UPS units. So as long as your equipment has redundant power supplies, you're taking advantage of that full power redundancy. We've got data redundancy as well. We have 25 fiber-connected closets that come back to this data center, and then from some of those closets, there's some other IDFs that'll be copper connected. But those fiber paths, there's two physical fiber paths, so we've got physical redundancy from the core switches back to those IDFs. In addition to those IDFs, 6 years ago, AT&T built out the first comprehensive Wi-Fi network here, taken over by Verizon a year ago. They ripped out what AT&T, aside from the infrastructure, they ripped out the Cisco equipment and put in Extreme equipment for the 1500 AP Wi-Fi network that we have today. That Wi-Fi network is powered with a 10G backbone with 10G on standby. Verizon is in the process of doubling that, so we'll have 20 and 20 in time for the Super Bowl. Independent of that is our own bandwidth, which right now is 1G. We just signed a deal with Crown Castle, upgrading that to 10G for our network. In case you're not familiar with how the hot aisle containment works, in these two, we call them pods, we have the cooling units are actually in row. So those cooling units are blowing cold air to the outside of the pods and sucking the hot air from the inside. So behind those closed doors inside the pod, the temperature is about 15 degrees warmer than outside. And the data center is actually very comfortable. It's not cold like a lot of data centers are because that cooling is so efficient. So we have inside the first three cabinets in the far pod over there is all the Wi-Fi infrastructure, and they've got their own physical infrastructure. The only thing that ties the Wi-Fi network to our corporate network, we have two layer 2 handoffs, one for wireless point of sale transactions and one for wireless ticket scanning. So Verizon will host those transactions and pass them to us so we can process them in our systems. That we have an Isilon storage system for our enterprise network. We have a second Isilon here on premise for our CCTV security network, and we have a Cisco UCS to host our virtual environment. All of that is changing. We just signed a deal. We're refreshing our EMC, Dell EMC storage in the coming months, as well as going to VxRail to host the virtual environment.
I was going to ask if you did hyper-converged.
Yeah, so we are going hyper-converged. And for the most part, we are a Cisco shop with the exception of our firewalls. We have Palo Altos. So at this point, I'll open up for any questions. You got to have some. Don't be shy. Yes, sir.
So when you do things like the drone race here and other events, like how do you like operate like the drones and other things that aren't like basically have the live video feeds from the drones or other things?
So Drone Racing League, everybody knows what a drone is. I don't know how many of you know that a Drone Racing League exists, but they come in here once a year, and they're actually going to be here this weekend. They set, and it's completely self-contained. They do everything. We're just the host. If anything, we might be shutting down some of our Wi-Fi to mitigate potential interference. But they set up a course throughout the stadium, going around the concourses, out the tunnel, through the field. They set up obstacle courses like hoops to fly the drones through, and it's a race. So they're actually racing these drones on this course that they put inside the stadium. But for an event like that, basically we just kind of let them handle it. There are some events where we're a lot more involved. The Orange Bowl, Miami Open is a huge event that takes a lot of work, a lot of infrastructure. A really nice thing about Miami Open, we built that campus last year. We've got a ton of fiber out there. We've got pedestal. We have marine pedestals and broadcast pedestals with fiber. So you don't really see, as you walk around the event, you don't really see a lot of cabling, if you see any cabling at all, because it's all structured cabling that's run underground. Another thing we did in the renovations, the last phase of renovations was our suite renovations and our site renovations. I had 12 strands of fiber run to every single light pole in the parking lot, which really helps events like we have Jazz in the Gardens, and we have the Rolling Loud Music Festival. So it really helps facilitate us, if we have to do auxiliary ticket scanning or point of sale, it really helps get that infrastructure out there. It's going to be extremely beneficial for the Super Bowl. With the Super Bowl, they don't scan tickets at our normal gates. They actually expand the perimeter about 300 feet around the stadium. So they set up these, they call them mag tents. Inside the tent is the magnetometers and the ticket scanning. So the infrastructure has to be pushed out there, and they're very grateful that we have, not only do we have that infrastructure, but we have the property around us. Last year when the Super Bowl was in Atlanta, the stadium property was not very big. The stadium was here, there's a convention center here, another business. So they actually had to run fiber to different businesses around the vicinity of the stadium. So it was very complicated. Anything? Yes, sir.
So as a season ticket holder, I want to commend you for the Wi-Fi. I'm the Facebook Live guy, and I'm always broadcasting. During a typical Dolphin game, what kind of bandwidth are you kind of running? How many gig, terabytes, whatever, go through here?
About 4 terabytes.
4 terabytes, a 3-4 hour game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's measured over an 8-hour span, from about 3 hours pregame to 1 hour postgame. And we have the Super Bowl is going to be a completely different animal. That's they measure it for a longer period of time, but it's a lot more bandwidth consumed. So they're coming in, and it's a great opportunity for us. They're going to come and analyze the network even further, because of what they go through, and I think we're going to be a better Wi-Fi environment for it. I know we will.
I need you to repeat that at ours.
Okay. Okay. I'm game.
Anything else?
Do you run your own knock, or how is it monitored?
It depends on what you're talking about. For our Palo Alto firewalls, we have a deal with Optiv, so they monitor that remotely. iPower, one of the partners that was here at the event tonight, they monitor all of our servers. During an event, we are on site and we're looking at everything. We're currently using SolarWinds to monitor our network, as well as our servers, but we're looking to make a change there very shortly. All right.
So everything's in here. Kim had mentioned the air gaps between different types of networks, so you have them all existing in here.
Not all the networks are in here.
They're not, they're
some of the industrial controls are in our engineering office.
Got it. Nice.
How many networks are you in?
A lot. Like I said, Wi-Fi is a separate physical network. CCTV, our security cameras, that's also a separate physical network. with some layer 2 connectivity for management of that network. And then on our main network, we've got VLANs for point of sale, for ticketing. We have an isolated VLAN just for our sales staff because of all the PCI activity that occurs in there. When we have an event come in, an event like this or a football game, when they need a different bandwidth, we have different VLAN for that. And in some cases, they ask for dedicated bandwidth, and this is revenue opportunity for us. We'll give them a public IP, and we'll give them a dark fiber. Maybe ride a VLAN. It's better if they ride dark fiber, better performance for them. But we'll give them that bandwidth as well.
So on the perimeter, of course, you've got the firewalls, but between certain VLANs internally, do you just do layer 3 switching, or do you firewall everything?
With the exception of point of sale, because the point of sale network is hosted by Centerplate. Centerplate is our food and beverage concessionaire, and so they've got that firewalled off from our network.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joe.